Hi, folks. Got an amazing guest here today, former MEP, author, economist, activist, ex-army. It is Godfrey Bloom. Do you see any kind of hope for the country?
I'm going to be brutally frank, Liam. Not a lot, no.
Mm,
I don't believe that this can be done with a general election in 2 or 3 years' time, no matter who gets in, no matter who
mhm,
gets in, because it's gone too far, and we're still being swamped by
mhm,
illegals and legals who shouldn't be here as well, in my view.
mhm.
Nothing to do with colour, nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with anything. We're crowded out. The island is totally crowded, and there's not enough room for us on it these days, never mind anybody else. And so I can't see it getting better this way.
Mhm.
So, how the hell are we going to get out of this? We have a totally politicized police force,
Yes.
which we saw just a couple of, all the details are now
Mhm.
coming out, and they're still coming out. They're still coming out.
Yes.
These evil people, these dreadful people who've taken over the police under dreadful instructions, under the brainwashing at Hendon that goes on,
Mhm.
to somehow make these people anti-indigenous population.
What did you think of that when you watched that footage of the Henry Novak case? I mean, I thought it was so inhuman.
Well, the point is, I'm an old geezer now, but there was one thing the police force prided itself on was discretion. The
Yes.
police constable's discretion as a citizen,
Mhm.
policing society in the P-light mode. So
Mhm.
he could use, uh, going back a bit now, but um, I remember my car breaking down actually on London Bridge years ago. So I was working in the city and I
Mhm.
was very young. I was only about 23 or 24 and of no consequence or importance. So all I did is I went to the local police station, which was in Coleman Street, in EC3, I
Mhm.
think, or EC34. And
Mhm.
I went in, this was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have to tell you, I was a bit pissed.
Mhm.
And I spoke to the desk sergeant and said, I've broken down on London Bridge. It's going to cause chaos in the morning, and no doubt breathing beer fumes all over him. And he said, "Oh, right." I said, "Is there a hotel nearby?" And in those days there weren't. And he said, "Well, I can give you the cell's empty. I can give you a bed in the cell." I said, "That will do nicely." And he said, "But you'll have to sort it out in the morning." And I
Mhm.
complained. I said, "What do you mean? You've got these police cars. You must have somebody downstairs who can fix it." And he went, "No, honestly, we haven't." This is, I should you not. This was the conversation. I was just bedding down in the police cell, and the inspector, the duty inspector, came in, complete with staff and hat and
Mhm.
all the bits and pieces, looking very important. And of course, city police him in those days,
Yes.
so he wasn't the little runt you see on duty these
No.
days. He was a proper chap and properly turned out, properly dressed, clean shaven, and all the rest of it. And he bollocked the desk sergeant. I thought, oh blimey, I'm in the shit now. I'm starting to sober up. And he said, you can't put a gentleman in the cell. Put him on my put him in my room. I'm not using it for all night, so there's a bed in there, and I'll need it back at 6 o'clock. I'll be back off my patrol at 6 o'clock because he was hands-on cop, like
Yes.
they used to be on the
Like they
beat,
used
an
to be
inspector on the beat.
back in the day.
Anyway, and he said, and I was woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Lynn, with a cup of tea and a cup of tea and a slight hangover. That was the
Yes.
concept of policing in those days. They knew I wasn't a bad guy. They knew
Yes.
I was probably a little bit tiddly, but the car was miles away, so there was
Mhm.
no way you could make a deal out of that, particularly, and they didn't
No.
want to make a deal out of it because they could tell a friend of the police when they saw it. Those
Mhm.
days have now very, very long gone. A policeman now, if you are a chap like me, an ordinary bloke,
Mhm.
ordinary sort of middle, what they used to call in the old books years ago, the middling sort, which I am.
Yes.
I'm a chap of the middling sort,
Mhm.
and no harm in that. But
Mhm.
they would instantly recognize somebody like me as a friend of the police. I'm
Yes.
now an enemy for some reason of the police because I'm white.
Yes.
Because I'm white.
It's quite unbelievable. Am I right in remembering that you've had the police knock at your door over your views?
Yes, somebody anonymously in Scotland complained about my views, and or something I'd said on Twitter. He
Right.
came round the back and knocked on the back door. And he said to me, we've had a complaint. I said, who? What? He said, I can't tell you that.
Mhm.
I said, well, until you tell me that, you're going to get a lot of cooperation. I said, who, why, what, and where?
Mhm.
Anyway, he hedged around. He said, I want you to come into the police station for an
Mhm.
interview.
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Mhm.
I can't be bothered." He said, "Well,
Right.
why would I do that? I'm a
Right.
busy fellow."
Yes.
And anyway, he got a bit chirpy. Anyway, I sent him off with a flea in his ear, and I phoned my brief, as we used to
Mhm.
say in the old criminal circles. I phoned my brief, a shit hot guy,
Mhm.
and I said, and he sent an email. He said,
Mhm.
"Which Nick is it?" And I told him which Nick it was, and he sent me a copy, of course. It was absolutely devastating on what the cop could do, not do, what he could insist on, what he couldn't insist on. And if he pursued the matter, I would take action against the police. And I
Mhm.
never heard another word. But you see, this is the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got a few bob in my pocket. I've got a
Yes.
top quality brief. They can't get me. Now, if you
Mhm.
push a wheelie bin into somebody and plead guilty, you're going to be banged up. Now,
Yes.
they won't bang me up because I'll have a top QC there telling them that they're all bloody idiots, and I'll walk
Yes.
away. But that's not right, and that's not fair.
Mhm.
The legal system should be open to all, which should be equal to all.
Yes.
But it seems to me that if you are white, of the middling sort, conservative, middle of the
Mhm.
road sort of dude like me, you are not allowed to an opinion. You're not allowed to
Mhm.
anything at all, and you are automatically guilty. And the only other member of the public I know who is automatically guilty,
Mhm.
if you're driving a car and bash into a cyclist,
Yes.
automatically guilty.
Oh,
Because a
absolutely.
cyclist can do no wrong because he's
Mhm.
covered in lycra, he's got a titty hat, a goatee beard, and he's a complete arsehole. Ergo,
Yes.
he must be innocent.
Yes. Has it ever stopped you, this climate at the moment of speaking your views? Has there ever been a moment when you thought, oh, I better not say that now?
Every now and again, because I'm still working, I'm not retired, I'm still
Yes.
working in a city capacity
Mhm.
with rather unforecast success again.
Yes. Oh,
You know,
good.
I just couldn't stand retirement, Liam. I couldn't stand retirement. So I thought, oh, I've got to go back to work. And I just wanted
Yeah.
to sort of something that doesn't bother me too much. And it's going so well that I'm circumspect about risking it by
Mhm.
speaking my mind. So I did
Yeah.
actually stop speaking my mind a few weeks ago for 25 minutes.
Did what do your colleagues feel about you? Are they pro your views, privately or publicly?
Most of them are members of my club.
Yes.
Most of them are slightly to the right of me. And they're all toffs, what you would call probably they're all toffs. They're all public school boys. They're all
Mhm.
successful in their early 30s, going places.
Mhm.
And we have a gentleman's dinner
Right.
once a year,
Mhm.
and things go around the table. So you have to have 2 minutes on your feet, and they
Mhm.
pass a banana around. And when the banana lands in front of you, you've got 2 minutes to say your piece, whatever it is. It's absolutely hilarious. And I don't think there's a single Guardian reader amongst them.
I don't think 2 minutes would be enough for you, Godfrey. I really don't. Um, Tell us now about the by-election coming up. Well, what are your views on it? Who would you? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you who you'd be voting for. What do you think?
We've got, as I see it, this is only my view. I don't know the constituency. I've never been there. And of
Mhm.
course, I've got a small holding in Yorkshire, and we regard the other side of the Pennines in Lancashire as beyond the pale. But leaving that aside, I don't know what goes on there. But it seems to me what they've been offered a professional politician placeman in the interest of the Labour Party, which is quite extraordinary, not much of a choice there.
Mhm.
Then they've been offered what I do like, two non-professional, very non-professional
Yes.
politicians with Reform and
Mhm.
Restore.
Mhm.
And there's a lady, who's got the stable yard and that
Mhm.
kind of who I immediately sympathise with because my wife is she.
Yeah.
That's good sides of the same coin with my wife's horses and stables and all the rest of it, although
Right.
she's retired from that now. She seems like a genuine person. And the
Mhm.
plumbing dude looks like a genuine person,
Yes.
warts and all. And that's
Yes.
what I've always said, Liam. The whole point of a representative democracy is that we should have in Parliament people
Mhm.
who do represent the constituency. They worked in the constituency. They've got small businesses in the constituency.
Mhm.
Isn't that both the sort of people we should have in Parliament? Surely.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Have you thought of ever standing again yourself?
Yeah, of course, it flits across my mind every now and again of what passes for a mind these days. But I'm now nearer 80 than 70. And I don't think. I mean, I used to have wonderful restraint when I was younger. You know, when I was in my early 60s, I had wonderful restraint. But I'm afraid these days I can't be bothered. I'd sooner punch somebody in the mouth than not, frankly. I don't think I can bother with a debate, especially if they got a goatee beard and a lycra suit.
You're not a fan of the old cyclists, are you?
No, no, no. I am one
would
myself, incidentally, but I don't have the lycra.
I think you look great in lycra. I'm sure you would. So, do you think that Rupert Lowe's party should stand aside because the vote on the right is being divided?
We both know that it's not going to make any difference whether this Burnham dude gets in
Mhm.
or he takes over from Starmer or doesn't. It's all the same. They all piss in the same pot. It's not going to make the slightest bit. Splitting the right. Well, now here's the thing. Is
Mhm.
reform right? He spends
Yes.
most of his speech there reaching out to the left and the trade unions and everybody else. I'm not saying he's wrong in doing that. What I'm
Mhm.
saying is he does not represent a right-wing party. He's
No.
not right-wing. And believe
Mhm.
me, nobody knows Nigel better than me. 20
Absolutely.
years, shared a flat for 10 years, and a
Yes.
good drinking mate.
Yes.
He is not right-wing. Believe
No.
me, he's not right-wing. The Guardian thinks he's right-wing, but
Mhm.
they think people who read the Telegraph are right-wing.
Mhm.
They think everybody's right-wing unless you're subscribing to the Guardian. So no, he's not right-wing. So you can't split the right.
Right.
What basically, although the Conservatives aren't an issue these days, he would be splitting the Conservative vote. Nigel is a born Conservative. He would
Yes.
fit in. He would fit into a Macmillan government as a
Mhm.
junior minister seamlessly. Seamlessly, he'd move in. He's been a Conservative supporter ever since he was at Dulwich College, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with that, but I think you need to actually call things for what they are. And he is
Yes.
not right wing. He's old style Conservative, and he would have fitted into Margaret Thatcher's government,
Yeah.
perhaps on the
Mhm.
left of her government. And he wants to nationalise the steel industry. I
It's not
mean,
very.
come on, right wing, leave it out, Arthur.
So, do you still speak to Nigel? Because I mean, you've known him for such a long time.
I haven't seen him since we were at a wedding together up in the
Mhm.
north.
Yes.
And if he came into the club, if he came into my club in the bar, I'd be very happy, more than happy to swallow a few sherbets
Right.
with him. And no problem. Nothing personal at all. It's
Yeah.
nothing personal at all. I'm not bothered. But I don't live in his world now.
No. Okay. And what are your thoughts on our beloved leader Keir Starmer at the moment?
Well, I did an interview with Professor Dutton last
Mhm.
year on my channel, and he was explaining that the problem is that Keir Starmer is sociopathic, and I
Right.
don't think anybody would do. For example, given I do that, and if you look up, if your viewers would look up sociopath, and you'll see these things. For example, how could he, at his age and with his background, not have a favorite piece of music or a favorite book or a favorite poem? That you could only be dysfunctional. You would
Mhm.
have to be sociopathic not to have. It doesn't matter if it's knees up Mother Brown and
Yes.
noddy. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You've got to
Mhm.
have something. And Professor Dutton explained to me it's the concept of parenting. His mother was sadly very ill, and he had to look
Right.
after his mother from 10 or 11 years old. And that's
Mhm.
that's called parenting. It's in reverse. And the problem
Yes.
is he couldn't have a normal childhood. He doesn't make friends easily. He doesn't communicate easily. Now, here's another thing, interesting thing,
Mhm.
Liam, which you may or may not know. Of course, we know Boris Johnson is a sociopath,
Yes.
but he managed. He's brilliant at covering up the fact. He's got the tousled hair, he's got the
Mhm.
scruffy, he's got his shirt
Yeah.
hanging out, and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. Now he doesn't look like a so. He looks like a jolly chap. It would be
Mhm.
fun to go and have a pint with. But of course, we know in 2003, I think it was, he flew to Kiev.
Mhm.
He flew to Kiev to stop a very generous peace terms deal on all
Mhm.
sides, which was
Mhm.
signed in Istanbul. I've just got back from.
Mhm.
It was signed and okay. The formalities, could have gone forward then. We are now 1 million Ukrainian young men later. 1 million young men dead. Now
Yes.
he sleeps at night. He doesn't have any issue with that. If I'd made a mistake, a strategic mistake, and it cost $1 million, I'd do the decent thing, go into the study, take out the wartime souvenir, and shoot myself.
Yeah,
He doesn't
yeah.
even think like that. He doesn't think he's made a mistake. Sociopath.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there seems to be no shame. I mean, I did wonder whether, he was mentally ill because there doesn't seem any connection. I mean, I'm even hearing people say that they don't think he's a human being. That there's something definitely very wrong with him. I want to ask you. You mentioned you're online and everything. Where can people follow you? They want to see more of you, Godfrey.
My videos are Godfrey Bloom
Yeah.
Official, and my
Yes.
website is godfreybloom.uk. Just
Right.
Godfrey Bloom. So it's really straightforward, and there's a load of good shit in there, believe me.
Yeah. Now, look, a lot of people out there, to finish off, are really depressed with what's going on. They see no hope for the future. Have you got a rallying call for the nation that we can, stand up and, feel better after we've watched this?
I'll just say one thing as a historian, military historian primarily, but social historian as well. We have been in this country, in our little island, through very bad times before. We have been very low, and you can pick them out over the last 400, 500, 600 years, for anything from the plagues to the Great Fire of London to a civil war. And you can go back, any historian will know, it's only O-level stuff. You don't need to be particularly keen on history. You can see where we have been at a low. We have always come out of it against the odds. We have always come out of it. But I will just say one caveat, and that is not going to come out of it this time easily, if we ever did. It's not going to be easy. And it may be that we simply can't do it through a parliamentary voting electoral system. It may not be possible to do that. I do hope it is, but it's just a very long shot. And I hope that we can, but it might be some other way that we have to do it, as we did in 1640. It may be that the only thing we can do. And it's going to be for every good patriotic Englishman to come to the fore and play his role, play his part. You can't bury your head in it. You can't sort of hope it might go away if you don't talk about it. And I think this latest thing, this attempted beheading of a citizen in Belfast, I mean, and it's daily, and it's kids, and it's women being raped all the time. We really have to be really tough. No pussyfooting around. These guys who do this have got to be executed. I'm sorry, that's how it's going to be. I'm not pussyfooting around it. If you rape a girl of 12, you bastard, I'll string you from a lamppost, and I'd have it publicly too. Make no mistake, not behind prison doors. I want to see them dangling and kicking, doing what they used to call the Newgate hornpipe.
You are a fantastic man, Godfrey, and I always love listening to you. So keep up your good work, and thank you so much for talking to my audience and me today. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure, Liam. Great pleasure. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research-based. And I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So, surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.